My name is Cindy Snide. I'm the Marketing Director for Revolution Group, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the third installment of our webinar series, Revolutionize the Supply Chain. Today's discussion will be CSI for ERP. Can you account for your inventory? We will be recording this session to post on our website, so if you would like to revisit or share today's information, we will send that link out for you to do so. Before we get started, though, I want to invite all of you to visit us at PowerPlex in Indianapolis next month, May 14th through 16th. We will be conducting two presentations, both on Wednesday, May 16th. At 8 a.m. that morning, Pat Welsh will be conducting a session, Community-Enabled Development, Expanding the Ecosystem. Pat will be discussing how Revolution Group has joined forces with the Plex development team to give Plex customers a powerful alternative to traditional Plex development. We're excited to bring creative solutions and value to the Plex experience. Learn what it is, how it works, and how your company can benefit from our expanding abilities to build Plex modules, reports, and interfaces to meet your needs. Also on Wednesday, May 16th at 10 a.m., Marty Stacks and Karen Patterson will present Learning to Fish, key points of finding how something works before you call. Marty and Karen will discuss how Plex implementation can be a bit more of an art than a science, and will show you how to take advantage of all the tools you have available to test, troubleshoot, and roll out Plex processes within your organization with confidence. So please visit our PowerPlex sessions and be sure to say hi to the Revolution Group gang during the receptions and networking times at PowerPlex. On the agenda today, after a brief introduction to Revolution Group, our speaker will be discussing organizational and customer expectations with respect to inventory traceability, what is true serialized inventory, inventory transaction methodologies in Advanced ERP Systems versus legacy systems, and the impact of serialized transactions on operations, burdens and benefits. At the end, we'll have a Q&A session, so at any point throughout the presentation, if you have a question, please just type it into the control panel on your screen, and we will do our best to answer all of the questions at the end. For those of you who don't know us, Revolution Group is a Central Ohio-based technology solutions provider founded in 1995. On our staff, we are privileged to have ERP implementation specialists and custom developers with years of manufacturing and supply chain experience. Our partnerships with Plex, Salesforce.com, Adaptive Planning, and Microsoft allow us the expertise and resources necessary to facilitate our customers' growth. We have been extremely successful in helping our customers leverage technology to revolutionize their supply chains and improve their business competitiveness. Our speaker today has 25 years of manufacturing experience. He has not only been a user, but also an implementer of ERP systems, and he is a key contributor to many of our clients' successful implementation projects. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Revolution Group's Senior Project Manager, Marty Stacks.
Thank you, Cindy. As we proceed into our presentation, if you had visited the Revolution Group website, I posted a blog on this subject matter just a few weeks ago, and basically I equated the inventory traceability to kind of a crime scene investigation. And I guess you have to allow me some latitude in that, but I guess if you had ever experienced a problem with your customer, they may argue that the need for inventory traceability could be equated to a crime. So today, as excuse me just a second, I'm experiencing a little difficulty here. So today's presentation, we're going to talk about serialized inventory, and again, it is kind of we're going to be making a case for true serialized inventory traceability. So let's talk about what your core customer expectations are. Again, they're looking for good value from their suppliers. They're looking for low costs. They're looking for on-time deliveries. They're looking for high-quality parts, and they're looking for exceptional customer service. So when we think of that in terms of quality, they're looking for conformance to the product specifications which they define for their suppliers. They're also looking for compliance to regulations, whether they be governmental regulations, as again necessitates by the type of part. Bear with me just a second. We're experiencing a little difficulty again. Okay, let me back up just for a second, and we'll go through that again.
Yeah, we can see the slides now, Marty. Thanks.
Okay. So, again, going back to our customer expectations, they're looking for the low cost, on-time delivery, quality parts, and again, exceptional customer service from you. Also, in terms of quality, they are looking for conformance to product specifications as they define. They're looking for compliance with any regulatory requirements. They're also looking for an ability from you to quickly isolate any quality problems and potential warranty issues, and also to avoid or minimize disruption to their production. They're looking for your systems to be able to identify defects within your facility prior to their being delivered to them. Again, that's a reactive step, and also to eliminate the need for any possible recalls on their part, and that is that proactive long-term benefit. Okay, so let's go through a scenario. Hopefully you guys haven't experienced this before, but I know I have. Let's talk about the time when the customer calls and says, hey, we've got a problem with your parts. They've experienced some defect in their facility, and they want to, they are contacting you, and they're expecting some type of response from you. And again, throughout the process, what they're looking for you to immediately contain those poor quality parts. They're looking for timely and accurate communication throughout the whole process. They also may require replacement of their parts, and they need that to be done very quickly to, again, minimize the impact on their operations. They're looking once you identify the root cause of the problem, they're looking for hard countermeasures to prevent reoccurrence, and they want that to be, again, a permanent correction. So with these expectations, it's going to require you to ask a lot of questions internally. Again, a lot of times those customers require some type of formal process, whether it be a 5P presentation or an 8D analysis. And so that's going to cause you to ask a lot of questions about, where these problems took place, the time, who was participating in it, what their root cause is, a number of questions. And that's you're going to have the internal systems in place and processes to be able to answer those questions. So when we're looking at traceability, we're looking at the capability of tracing the goods all the way back to your suppliers and also along the distribution channels to your customers. So basically what we're looking for here, again, equating it back to the CSI, we're looking at a real whodunit here, and we need to be able to respond. So let's talk about true serialized inventory. Basically that is individual inventory containers that are tied to a serial number, and in some cases those could be individual parts that may necessitate serialization. The serial numbers often contain a lot of information about those that container of parts, including quantity, location, the creation dates, maybe their quality status. And these details are not tracked in a single record as they are in some legacy systems, which we'll talk about here shortly. The transactions involving these containers are tracked along a production, and as things change, they're updated accordingly. And also, too, this type of true serialized inventory supports detailed historical information that you can track your production. You can track your inspections and see the genealogy and the usage of the inventory as it exists within your facility. So I want to show you an example here. This actually comes from Plex Online, which is we'll be using as an example of an advanced system, ERP system. Here you see a container level detail for a serialized container, and that container would be S012258. You can see a lot of information about that container. You can see its part number, the level of operation. It could be assigned to a specific job number within your facility. You maybe have source material that you're tracking that to, and you have capability of looking at or tracking heat, lot, and tracking numbers associated with those containers. You can see the location where it exists within your facility. You can see the container types that's being used, the creation date when it was created within your facility. Also, you'll be able to see updates to that container, the date and time that they were updated. You'll be able to see the quality status of those. So if it was maybe okay to proceed to utilize these parts within your facilities, or they might be at a quality hold status. You'll be able to see the weights associated with the container, maybe net and gross weights, and you'll be able to see certain costing detail. So obviously with that kind of true traceability, you have or you'll be able to respond quickly to your customer, so you have obviously an enhanced response and hopefully improve the satisfaction. Also, too, you would have other benefits that are typically associated with the manufacturing goals, and those would be reducing inventory levels within your facility, maybe shortening your production lead times and production timing through your facility, and also minimizing your production costs. So if you can think about having accurate inventory information on your shop floor, obviously that's going to allow you to streamline your operations and again gain the cost benefits of doing so. So I know in the past I've used some of those legacy systems, and I'm guessing you've been in the same place yourselves. The question is, you have to ask yourself is, does your system support those goals? And if not, maybe it's a time for you to consider possibly upgrading your systems. So let's kind of talk about the traditional legacy approach to inventory management. A lot of times maybe the warehouse or the location, part number, and quantities are tracked within a single record within those legacy systems. So you have to do a lot of manipulation when you need to make a change to the records. The transactions don't often reflect what's truly going on within your facility. Those containers, as they move through your facility, don't typically move in batches. That's required by your legacy systems, so you have to do mass updates. Also, too, you typically don't have real-time visibility to those inventory levels in their locations or the volume of transactions. These legacy systems will force your company to do a lot of what we call human-intensive data entry to again generate the accurate inventory records. A lot of times those transactions, as they naturally occur within it, create a lot of problems, and then you'll have to deploy your resources to clean those up. A lot of times you're going to, or your employees are going to have to do some manual keying for the transactions. It's not simply just a location of where, scan of where you're moving the parts to, or just moving the container, but you're going to have to identify the part numbers associated with it, the quantities, and maybe what kind of transaction it is that you're conducting, And a lot of times those have to be manually keyed in, especially in the scanners, which can be quite burdensome for your material handlers. So this does impede the efficiency of those material handlers. Also, too, daily, as you look at those transactions, you're going to find out that you're incurring negative balance locations. So as those transactions were inputted into your system, they may not be accurate, so it may cause some locations to be overstated and some to be understated, some dipping down to negative balances. So you're going to have to, again, deploy your internal resources to identify those by reporting, like a negative inventory report, and deploying those parties out to those locations to do manual counting of those locations and cleaning up your systems. Of course, these inaccuracies within your facility and in your system are going to severely impact your shipping functions, and possibly degrade your customer service. Because if you're counting on inventory to be able to support your shipping schedules and that inventory is not there, obviously you have issues. And also, too, because of the limitations of some of these legacy systems, you may have to consider other means to track certain quality traceability records, say production and usage. Say you're at a given work center and that you're consuming bill of material items. You're going to have to record what bill of material items are being used, their container numbers, serial numbers, as you're producing the output part. And a lot of times that's done on handwritten forms or with travelers that follow the containers through the process. But finally, in the end, those documents are gathered and they are stored in bulk in document storage. So this kind of gives you a feel of, the actions, again, that are going on. You're looking at reports, trying to identify your errors. You're maybe having to go out to the locations and, again, manually count those. You have to key in those corrections. You've got your scanners that you have to maybe at the end of the shift download all of your transactions. Again, it's not a real-time process. And again, as you collect those documents, you're going to have to put those in document storage. You may be called upon those at a later time to called upon by your customer to, take a look at those documents as you see here and try to identify, some of those traceability issues that may have caused you problems within their facilities. So if you have a quality defect, maybe it might have originated in a component that you received from your supplier. So you're going to have to track back through all those manual documents and those travelers to try to, again, answer all those questions that they're going to have and, help you countermeasure the problem. So again, this can be a pretty lengthy time to gather all that information. And again, the clock is ticking, so the customer is expecting timely responses. So let's talk about maybe deploying an advanced ERP solution, and obviously it's going to offer you some benefits here. So first of all, the serial numbers are tied to one physical container, or again, it could be a serialized individual. You're going to have integrated ERP and MES systems that's going to help you track that inventory in real time through your facility. And again, that's going to update those records as the transaction occurs. It should be a simple one-scan process that'll automatically update the locations and quantities and other critical detail that we mentioned earlier, just into one transaction step. The process or the transactions of the parts through your system should represent what's really going on your shop floor or your warehouse floor, and it's going to, obviously improve your inventory accuracy. The cloud ERP solutions available right now are going to provide you with an automated inventory balance. So as those inventory transactions occur, those are going to update the quantities associated with those serialized records in real time, so you have that visibility. Also, this is going to eliminate the need to deploy all those resources we discussed throughout your facility to clean up all those erroneous transactions and clean up all your inventory balances. It's going to obviously allow your people to focus on the value-added activities within their job duties or within their departments. You know, the material handlers then are not spending all their time keying in data. They're actually maybe better organizing or again, working on the value addeds that may be required by your customer and not focusing on all those manual inputs. Also, it's going to provide or can provide controls over possibly mixing inventories that are related to certain jobs or certain lot numbers or heat numbers. And obviously you may have certain business rules that require that, and that would be kind of a hard countermeasure to some of the problems that you may be experiencing with your customers now. It'll provide for true serial number traceability, and it'll provide all that detailed historical information of production, inspection, and usage that we discussed earlier. That is so advantageous for your organization. So this kind of gives you maybe a feel for the flow of what you would see with an advanced ERP system. Again, parts come off your truck. If you are using like a supplier EDI system, you wouldn't even have to scan those parts into your inventory. But once they're there, you can utilize just one scanning step to either move those component parts to different inventory locations or move them right into your production lines. Then as they're being consumed, you would be, again, the operator of those work centers would be designating which serial numbers they're utilizing, and you would produce output parts which you would label and, again, move those into storage or move those to the next downstream work center. And again, that process would, again, continue to reoccur until those parts are finally shipped out to your customer. And again, the key is here that you're not inputting all these transactions and you're not recording a lot of additional details that you would in a normal legacy system. So this kind of gives you an example of a screen that you may see. This, again, we're using Plex Online as an example, where your operators would designate what source containers they're utilizing to produce an output container. And again, you'd be able to see the serialized inventory at the bill of material level and also for the output container. This gives you a feel for the container history that may be afforded to you by these advanced systems. In this, you can see the transaction times that each of the transaction occurred. You can see who the responsible individual was, whether it's a manufacturing employee or if it's a warehouse employee as they move the parts through the operations. You can see the maybe the heat numbers, materials, or tracking numbers that are associated with these parts. You can see the quantities as they are incremented or decremented depending on whether there's production going on or depletion going on. You can see maybe certain accounting information here. Maybe you're tying this serialized container to a certain costing job. You can see container level detail of what type of container it is, what are the weights of the container. You can see the actions as they occur. Also, with these systems, you would have the traceability of these parts to from which containers these parts originated. So you would have the traceability. In this case, we've got a traceable or a graphical traceability tree that you can look at it both forwards and backwards. So if you're starting with a source container, you can see what containers were made or manufactured out of that source container. In the same respect as if you have a finished goods container, you can trace it all the way back to see what WIP and purchase components went into that container. So let's talk a little bit about the burden of these advanced systems. A lot of times when you're analyzing whether to upgrade your legacy systems. The first thing that maybe you hit upon is it's going to require some organizational discipline. Obviously, at each step of the process, you're going to have to do some scanning of the containers. But a lot of times I think people kind of think about what they had to do with their legacy system. So when they see the quantity of scanning that is being required with these advanced systems, they're thinking or trying to equate that to what they're doing now. And again, it can be a very quick process. Again, it's a one scan process. As far as an organizational change required is you have to embrace technology. Obviously, these systems are very technologically driven, so you're going to have the scanners on your floor to be able to accommodate the requirements of these systems. And that's where we're going to require reasonable investment on your part. You know, some people look at the bottom line investment of this, you know, the scanners, the printers, or the computer workstations on their facilities, and you know they're looking at that, but they're not really considering the return on investment that those key investments provide. And hopefully, you know, we'll touch upon those here in this next slide. If you look here, you'll see the benefits from these advanced systems. One is you're going to have instant accessibility and real-time visibility to that data. You're going to have improved production tracking or product tracking, and also too, if your customers are requiring you know, certification of parts before they're shipped, in the case of you have a quality containment situation, and you have to, you know, again, certify or affirm to that customer that those parts have been inspected prior to shipping. You'll be able to track that as it occurs with those serialized containers. You're also going to have improved response time. Again, consider digging through those document storage bins, looking for those key travelers to help you put your piece of your story together, versus having all that information that we saw on those preceding screens, that you can quickly collect information and isolate the problems quickly and accurately. Obviously, that's going to lead to higher customer satisfaction. You're going to have greater accuracy in your inventories, which is going to allow for better operational efficiency. Same respect, that reduced data entry is also going to improve your operations. It's going to improve overall your supply chain management, because they're going to be focused on other issues besides inventory accuracy. You're going to have improved compliance with any certification or regulatory elements, because obviously if they require certain specifications or testing to be done, you're going to have the traceability of, you know, the serial numbers through those steps. You're going to have lower costs, and you're going to have a high return on investment. Again, with all those inefficiencies of legacy systems, there's a cost associated with that. And even though you're spending money on improving your technology, you're going to, overall, you're going to have a positive return on investment, and that's going to provide you overall with a competitive advantage, and really that's what it comes down to. I mean, that's key for your organization. So, you know, with serialized inventory, true serialized inventory, we're not talking about just slapping a serialized label, shipping label on the container as it goes out the door. With true serialized inventory and with those advanced ERP solutions, you know, next time the customer calls you, hopefully, you know, you've got a clue there. So we can help with this. I mean, that's what we do. We implement these advanced systems, and we've had, you know, a number of successes. You can look at our website and look at some of the case studies. You know, we've seen really bad situations resulting from maybe a poor application of a legacy system, or maybe you've just outgrown that system, and you know, we've helped either make improvements with those existing systems or help those companies migrate to Advanced ERP solution. And so if you're considering this or you don't know where to turn, give Sam Hanna at Revolution Group a contact, and he can arrange a no-cost consultation for you. So you're really not out any money with that consultation. So with that, Cindy, I'm ready to take some questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marty, for all of the information. And as Marty said earlier at the beginning, he does have a blog on our website that talks about this some more. So if you haven't had a chance to read that, please do so. As for questions, we do have a few. We have one. If you have containers returned, are you able to see that change in status in the container history?
Yes, with the advanced systems, if you have containers returned, most of those support a customer return transaction that allows those containers to go to a quality hold status or a suspect status. And again, you're going to have a resulting ability from the accounting side to issue them a credit for that. But also, too, it's going to require through certain configurations, it's going to require you to process those through a formal process to get those containers out of that status and back to an OK status. It may require some rework or some sorting activities. Also, too, within those systems, you would have you would be able to see all the inspection details. So if you're inspecting based on certain part specifications, you would see the results of those parts, part specifications as they go through the inspection process. And again, if they're instead of a qualitative or quantitative measurement, you would have the resulting SPC statistics for those inspections.
Okay. A few more questions. What do you mean by one scan functionality?
Okay, one scan functionality. Because those attributes of the inventory or the serialized container are not stored in one record, basically you have multiple records that are associated or linked by a serial number key. As you scan that serial number to a location, it automatically is moved to that location, and all those attributes of it, its part numbers, its quantities, its status is moved with it. So to use Plex Online as an example, if you are moving a container, you would designate where you're moving that container to, and then you would just do one scan of the serial number. And if you have multiple containers, you all would have to do a scan each of their serial numbers, and the system automatically updates that record, and it does it in real time.
Okay. How are serialized containers depleted in production if they are bill of materials for manufactured parts?
Okay, so if you remember the work center screen, where you can your operator would select the serial numbers of the bill of material components required to make the part. They would designate which containers they're using by serial number, and then as you are recording production for the output part, it is given a serial number, and all of those bill of material serial numbers are linked to that output part. So you're going to have your backward traceability all the way back to your suppliers for any of your given manufactured containers.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. If we identify one problem container, how do we identify and contain others?
Okay, so your customer may call you and say, we've got a problem. We may have a problem with this one serial number, and their expectations for you is to tell them of what else they may have on their shop floor that may be bad. So once you have that serial number, you can look in your container history, and you can track it back to maybe a specific bill of material part that it could be a purchase, or it could be a manufactured work in process part. that may have caused the defect at their facility. And so once you isolate maybe the problematic container that the problem originated, then you can quickly look at your traceability and see what other containers may have been affected or had depleted that source container. So once you have that information, you can quickly check your internal inventory and see which containers are still on your shop floor by serial number, and you can change the statuses of those serial numbers to prevent their shipping. Also, you can communicate to your customer what containers may have already shipped out to them that they need to place on hold within their facility. And also, too, if they're requiring swift replacement of those parts, you can check your inventory and just verify that none of the parts that you're planning to ship them had utilized that same source container, so that you know that they will not have that same defect.
Okay, I think I just have one more question, unless someone else has another question here. Is it possible to give our customer visibility to this traceability information?
You know, actually it is. For example, Plex Online, you have the ability to set up a secure portal for your customer, and you can, if you choose to, provide them with access to look at the inventory records, either by container, or you may want to give them access to inspection records. That visibility to your customer in certain cases can be, a tremendous competitive advantage for your organization, and give them some, comfort in your ability to provide good traceability and a quick reaction to their issues.
Great. Well, that looks like that's all the questions that we have for now. If anyone else has further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us here at Revolution Group. Don't forget, today's webinar will be posted on our website, so if you know of anyone else who might be interested, please let them know that. We are suspending our webinar series in May to focus on PowerPlex. So once again, please be sure to attend one or both of our sessions in Indianapolis next month. In June, we'll pick up the Revolutionize the Supply Chain webinar series with mitigating risk and leaning out your IT staff. So please join us then. Once again, thank you, Marty, for presenting, and thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great day. Thanks very much.
Thank you.